Hi everyone and welcome to One Six Figure Focus, and you're very welcome to episode number 31 of Visions, where every single episode of this particular series of live stream I sit down with a different 1/6 scale art collector in general and discuss the past, the present and the future of their collecting journey. Next guest was very kind to me when I first started my channel. Zach from Collecting Weekly recommended I get in touch with the two OFAC guys, so Ian and Pete, and I have had the pleasure of interviewing Ian last week or 2 weeks ago, I think it was at this stage, and then now I have Pete. And Ian was a very good boy. He didn't actually swear at all, so like the challenge has been thrown down. How are you, Pete?
I'm good, thanks, mate. Yeah, he was surprisingly well behaved. I think he's a bit more respectful of your audience than of his own. But he
Yeah,
should be fairly safe with me.
yeah,
If I do swear, the odd one might slip out, but
yeah.
I'm normally a bit better behaved than Ian.
It's
I keep him under
it's
control.
it's the odd one slips out on my channel as well. It's something. It's rare, but it happens because
Yeah, yeah,
just for the people in the chat, you might have might have mentioned it before, or whatever. Because I'm a school teacher, I have to keep things kind of
yeah.
PC, just in case. You never know who's watching, like
No,
So,
exactly.
yeah,
No, and
you
my
never know
my
who's
other
watching.
half always says, why don't you try and you know because she knows we swear and stuff, and she's like, make it more family friendly. I said, no, we
Mm.
can't. We're adults only, definitely. It's you
Yeah,
couldn't.
yeah,
Not with
yeah.
Ian. Not with Ian. He couldn't do
He
it.
shouldn't be left unsupervised.
No,
Like, do you
no,
know?
definitely
Yeah,
not. I mean,
yeah,
how he's allowed to have a child of his own, I don't know, but
yeah.
yeah.
It's true. You know what? We're just gonna go. First question: do you actually like Ian? I'm only
Of course I
joking, Ian.
do.
If you're
I love him.
watching, we love you.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought maybe if Ian was watching, you get a little kick out of that. But
Yeah, yeah. No,
yeah.
no, we've known each other for years on Facebook, and obviously we've done the show for about 3 years, but we've never met in person. But we will be doing so in April for Star Wars Celebration. So
Oh, cool.
really looking forward to that.
Yeah, because from like just like watching you or being on the stream with you, whatever, like you just seem like people who've just gone back years and actually did know each other in real life. We'll say,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
yeah.
I think we, I think we like when we talk about my collection stuff, it's very much. I'm a massive indie fan, and that's a big part of my collection. And I think we struck a chord there, and we were talking about when we were building our first custom indies and stuff. We talked a lot about that, and I was, so that's kind of how we sort of bonded there. And then I just set up a little group with Ian and another collector, David Upton, and we've just kind of kept it, and we just chat and stuff and chuck stuff in there and everything, and obviously then Ian was listening to CW, and he got talking to the boys and everything, and I kind of muscled in. I heard that he was, they were talking to him about going on, and I was like, oh, I quite fancy that, so I sort of got in there, and we did a collaborative episode, and then obviously from there we kicked off OFAC.
Mhm.
So
Good
yeah,
stuff.
we do get on really well. So
Hmm. And
maybe we
how
won't in real life, but we'll
I'll be breaking up fight because I'll be there as well
see. Yeah.
at
Hopefully we'll see you
celebration. Yeah,
there. Yeah, it'd be brilliant.
yeah, that'll be great because I've got yeah, I've got tickets to the Friday. I am trying to find tickets to the Saturday. That could be that mightn't happen, but I'm there anyway. I've got a
Yeah,
book for Friday and
yeah. You said
Saturday.
you were there, so we'll
Yeah,
definitely try and
so
meet up for a beer or something.
that'd be
While
100%. Yeah,
as you've made the effort to come over all the way
yeah,
over
yeah,
from
yeah, yeah,
Ireland,
yeah,
then yeah,
yeah.
definitely, mate. Yeah,
Yeah, he'd be like,
yeah. No,
remember
I
that
think there'll
guy?
be
He came over from
Mhm.
Ireland and then he got lost, never was
Yeah,
returned to Ireland
yeah,
again.
yeah. We never found him.
Yeah, I'm gonna just address the chat and some basic housekeeping before then we
Yeah,
get started.
go for it.
So Noble Young was here. Have you got that snow speeder Luke Noble one yet? Thanks for being here as well. William Owens, the Office of Foreign Assets Control. Yeah, customs.
Yep.
Thanks for being here. Tyria is here. Hello, everyone. Empire Strikes Again is here. Ben, the Attention Seeking Geek. If you haven't yet done so yet, subscribe to the Attention Seeking Geek on YouTube. Please do so. Go ahead. Did you see his Terminator cosplay by any chance?
No, no.
So Collectibles, Rich Collectibles does like this film club every Tuesday. It's a stream of like classic films. He brings on a few
Okay.
people to chat about them, and Terminator 2 was Tuesday. And yeah, Ben just like nailed it with his cosplay. It was brilliant of the Terminator. But I know it was
Cool.
it was really good. Empire Strikes Again, yeah. So referencing Ben's Terminator cosplay, we have Pete. We have Andre who says, "Pete, you beautiful bar steward."
Thanks,
You,
Andre.
you know Andre?
Oh yeah, yeah. He's
Yeah.
always a keen viewer of our show. So yeah, yeah.
Gotcha. I thought maybe like you worked in a bar years ago and he was a
Oh
punter.
yeah,
Like, so.
yeah. Yep.
Commander Green says, "Hello everyone. Empire Strikes." We have Boba Fettuccine, just the greatest name ever.
Yep. You love that one. Yeah, it's good.
This is funny actually. I hope you put your daughter's red dot back in the sticker book. Ben had these glasses on and he just put a red dot
Oh,
on it. It was
right.
brilliant, and he just took it off his daughter's sticker book, and it tricked us all.
Oh, that's cool.
Mark Mitchell is there as well. Really quickly before we get started, so if you're a follower of the channel, I decided once I got monetized, if I was lucky enough to get monetized and ever receive any sort of revenue or super chat, super thanks, all those super things, that I would do a charity thing. So Brandon Salad dropped the first ever super chat to the channel on August 1st. He dropped a $20 super chat. It was very, very generous. And all of the money, revenue from ad revenue, super chat, super likes, super thanks, all that stuff is going to be added up. And in January, it's going to be donated to the Tempest Street Children's Hospital. It's our national children's hospital here in Ireland. So we've raised so far €506 and
brilliant.
6 cents. So that's some very generous collectors out there. So just a few things up on the channel. I have this just awful thumbnail, but it's are they listening? Just a few things that Hot Toys have done in the last few months that suggests maybe they are actually listening selectively. USB powered lightsabers, dioramas that don't have sandy footprints in them, that kind of thing.
Yep.
A review on Deadpool 2 because it's topical. Just my thoughts on Echo, my thoughts on droids, a bit of a rant, Boba on the Throne, a review. I'm just finishing that off now. Actually, I just forgot how good this figure is. Do you have Cody by any chance?
No. I haven't got any prequel stuff, but he does look really good.
It's the only prequels figure I have because I don't typically collect. I ruled out the prequels as a line.
But you're a trooper man, aren't you? So
I love troopers, yeah, and I just think this one's fantastic, and they just do great stuff with Tamora Morrison's face.
So you would, but you'd have to, if you're a trooper fan, you'd have to pose him. You'd have to have him with the helmet on.
That is the thing. I originally had him holding the helmet because I wanted to show that sculpt, and he had just a handgun. I robbed the pose blatantly from a Jedi Patroller. Got inspiration from him. But then today, when I was doing a few poses for the little short review I do, I posed them in the cliche Order 66, and I never posed them like that because I thought everyone does that. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, I love that. And it had the helmet on, so it ties in nicely in the trooper display. But I think maybe the only one I think I'm Darth Maul with the blood fin, the bike he comes with.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
I'd entertain that, man, because I just, as far as episode 1 goes, just what a character. And finally, this is something I'm really excited about. So tomorrow I'm doing a late stream. I'm going to stay up late on a Friday night. I'm mad. Until 11 p.m. So maybe some of those Yankee collectors might want to tune in. Just going to do a Q&A. So I put a poll up on my YouTube community tab. Just a question. Sorry, I'll start again. I have a post on my YouTube community tab which basically says, what kind of topics would you like us to address? So you can ask a question or pose a topic, and we'll just do a Q&A session tomorrow. So that's 11 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. It's scheduled up there if you want to see the time for your local area. I'm really looking forward to that. There's also a post on my Instagram story if anyone wants to ask any questions or suggest something that they want spoke about, because I'm just excited about that.
I'll try and tune in for that one.
Thank you, thank you. I know that though. I get up early in the morning. I think we spoke about this before. So come
Yeah.
8, 9 o'clock, I'm useless. So um,
So yeah, you have to just see how it goes.
lots of coffee, I reckon.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so we're gonna start straight from the start, and we're gonna go right back to, you know what? We'll put you under a little bit of pressure, just moderate pressure, right? So we'll
Hmm.
start you off. We'll ask you a question. Reissues 2.0s, 3.0s, whatever you want to call them. Right off the top of your head, if a 2.0 was announced tomorrow and you get to tell Hot Toys which 2.0 you would
Hmm.
like to see, purely selfish, what
Yeah.
2.0 would you love to see pop up tomorrow?
Hudson from Aliens.
Oh, I'll ask for Hicks, and between us, we'll get
Yeah,
them all.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I had thought about it because after I watched your show with Marvel Les, you were talking about the the Aliens line,
Mm.
and we'll get onto it. And I've put together I've got some custom figures, and the Aliens figures were really early doors for Hot Toys. They were back in the day when you got it and the body was all in pieces and you had to put all the armor on and everything. But the armor stands up today. The armor is fantastic. The weapons and everything. Obviously, the bodies and the sculpts are well dated, but there's custom sculpts out there. There's obviously bodies and fighting and stuff. So I've got an Aliens collection, but I think a lot of people would like, Aliens is such a huge franchise and such great characters. I think people would jump all over those. So yeah, definitely. I mean, I say Hudson because I've got a custom Hicks, but you're going with Hicks. I'm sure we'd have we can get a Vasquez and a Drake and stuff like that. And but yeah, I think they're definitely overdue for a re-release or a
That's a
redo.
great answer, and I think I probably shouldn't say this out loud because I know it sounds stupid, but I think everyone would nearly be happy. I
Yeah,
think it'd be one
yeah,
of those
definitely.
announcements that would be like, yeah,
Yeah, and and
because
they
yeah,
they
go on,
brought out
sorry.
the Aliens, the Alien Warrior. I mean, it's probably about 5 or 6 years ago now, but with nothing to go, nothing to go with it. It was just an
Mm,
odd one,
mm,
and they had Ripley, but they didn't re-release the Alien Big Chap. So
mm-hmm.
it's difficult to, um, you know, to build a collection, and then you've got to go back to the old ones, and they do need a lot of, they need some work to make them
Mm,
fit with your modern display.
mm-hmm.
But I love them. I love Aliens.
Yeah, and it's a great point really because like when you see something like my mind always goes to this when you that story you told about kind of like basically incomplete lines or
Hmm.
inconsistencies. And as a big Dark Knight fan, I would love to see them go like give us a 3.0 Bane and see if it actually is good, like and doesn't have the
Hmm.
skinny arms and all that, or the maybe I'd like to see what they do with their 3.0 Joker, even though I've got the in art, so I won't probably get it and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And everyone's going, oh, that's definitely coming. The Bane is definitely coming and whatever. But then you hear stories like that, and you kind of go, it just reminds me that this is the company that released Pennywise at Christmas. There
Yeah.
is no there
Yeah.
is no
No,
sense.
there is no
There
rhyme
is
or
no
reason or
sense.
logic to
Yeah,
Hot Toys.
yeah.
Um, sometimes they surprise, sometimes they disappoint. But
Hmm.
yeah, Aliens, they
Yeah.
would make an absolute killing on it if they
I think they would,
revisited
man,
that. But
because yeah,
um,
I mean, uh, give us a Ripley that looks like Sigourney Weaver with the six
yeah,
scale power loader.
yeah. See, I've got a couple
Yeah.
of Ripleys, but again, they needed work. They're
Mm,
both have got the alien sculpt on, and I redid, well, basically cut the hair off,
mm,
and it works. But yeah, again, another. Well, and the power loader as well. I mean, I have a power loader,
power
and
loader,
we can
yeah,
see that later. But
yeah.
that's an old piece, and you'd be lucky to find one now that wasn't
Mm,
kind of falling apart.
mm,
So
mm.
although I dread to think how much they charge for it these days. But
And it'd be fair to say that, like, a lot of those, I know the word toyetic gets thrown around, but like those colonial marines with the big guns and the armor and the little viewfinder and the helmets,
yeah,
they lend themselves. They're like those warriors of future figures. I don't
yeah,
know what they
yeah,
are, but
exactly.
they look awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
No, too right. And they've got the little shoulder cameras and the
yeah.
lights and everything. And yeah, it's just all it's
Mm.
beautiful stuff. So yeah, they could
Yeah.
really kill it now
I
with the
think
sculpts and stuff. But
take my money moment. I believe that it'd be just take my money announcement. Like, you know,
yeah, it'd be
I
interesting to
think.
know if they've even got the license anymore. Because I know like some
Mm.
of the like Prime One have got a license because they're doing the statues and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
it's difficult to know whether Hot Toys has still got a license or and they're just not
Yeah,
interested or they've just let it kind of lapse and um, yeah,
they're so
I don't
cagey
know.
as well, and with like the distance and the cultural difference, like, you know, the distance, like, or sorry, the cultural difference
Yeah,
is like we're never gonna know the unless you're like actually working for the company high up. You're not gonna know really. Like, you know, it's like, but
no,
yeah, there's yeah, it's an interesting one because I do a stream with Lael, the 1/6 scale man, on Sundays, and it's kind of become a little bit of a joke there. They go around the panel and they go, "Do you have an interest in this? Are you getting this?" And they get to focus and be like, "Oh, why am I even asking you? You're not going to get this. You get nothing." Like, but when you look at something like as a trooper collector, which is kind of my Achilles heel, and then you look at something like the Bad Batch, and I haven't watched the Bad Batch, and that Echo, I think that looks fantastic. But
it does. Yeah, because we
I'm just steering right clear of this because you have to complete a line. Because what
yeah,
happens if I go, you know, I'm going to try and complete these, and then something that I actually love, the Colonial
yeah,
Marines
Clay
get
Marines,
released,
yeah, yeah.
and then you're like, why did I bother with this? Was it boredom, or what was it? You
I
know,
agree, and,
it's
and I think we talked about it on when you were on OFAC
mm,
last week. Is that back in the day, 5 6 years ago, yeah, I would pick up random figures because they were affordable. You could pick it up, get it in hand. Sometimes it was just enough just to satisfy. I've had it in hand. I've looked at it. It's great, but it's not for me, and I
mm,
pass it on. But the price now, you've got to as you say, stay in your lane. You've really got to
mm,
focus, and I think you know if as you say, if you can admire a figure for how it looks and the quality, but if it doesn't fit in with your collection, I think you've got to kind
mm,
of pass it by and
mm.
save your money for the things you really want.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I dropped. I think we were talking about this last week. I have a pre-order list and I have a wish list, and wish list are the ones that I want that I haven't pre-ordered, and
Hmm.
the Black Widow, I was really looking forward to it, and I just when I saw the sculpt, I was like,
Yeah.
well, I can take that off my wish list, and I can
Yep.
also take Yelena off my wish list, and
Yep.
unless by some miracle the white suit version, the head sculpt just blows it out, it knocks it out of the park, but
Mm.
I can't see that happening really. But some yeah,
No.
first world
No.
problems. So
Yeah, it's a shame.
yeah. So the past. I'm just going to give you a few. Like, you can take this whatever direction you want, but there's
Hmm.
definitely a few questions that I love asking that I like to hear the answer to, and I'm always very interested about how
Yep.
collectors started. So just a few, and I'm just going to throw a bunch of information at you, and you can pick whatever you want out of
Hmm.
it. But
Of course.
I definitely really want to know, what was your first 1/6 scale? What was your first Hot Toys? Who did you buy it from? Do you still have it? How
Hmm.
did you react to that sticker price? Did you think, this will just be one, or were you like, oh, I'm in trouble here?
Yeah.
What were you collecting at the time? Take it whatever direction you wanted in.
If I may, I will share
Of course.
I have put some pictures together. So, I'm not sure I can do it. Here we go. Here we go. Yep.
So then I just have to allow
And
this.
present.
There we go.
Yep. Okay. So there he is, the first figure. Quite aptly for me, it's
Hmm.
the Hot Toys DX05 Indiana Jones, which kind of started off my my 1/6 scale collecting, and kind of has created an 11-year addiction to indie and an
Mm.
ever growing collection. So yeah, I bought this guy in early 2011. So I think came out sometime the year before. I can't for the life of me remember how I stumbled upon him. I'd obviously I'm a little bit older than some of the guys, so I grew up in the 80s. So I technically my first 1/6 scale action figures were Action Man with
Hmm.
the fuzzy hair and the eagle eyes and stuff like that. So and then obviously I kind of got into my teens and I didn't really collect. And then when I got into my early 20s, I used to buy I bought a lot of the Star Wars Lego because that started in '99 when the Phantom Menace was out, and also a lot of the McFarlane Movie Maniacs figures. So kind of like 7-inch.
I remember them. Yeah.
There's the Oxfather. Yeah, so I used to have a lot of that, like Nightmare on Elm Street, the horror movies like Sleepy Hollow with the horse and everything, and I was quite happy with those and that sort of thing. I was just Googling, or I was on the internet, and I don't know how, I just saw this and I thought, whoa, that is that is amazing. And obviously 11 years on, you can pick it to pieces and say, but at the time I was absolutely blown away. So and I think I bought it from a company called Toy HQ. I don't know if they're still going. It was like one of these sort of one-man band resellers in the UK. So I think I paid £200, I think. And, and 11 years ago, I suppose that's quite a lot. But yeah, so this photo was taken on the day I got him and I opened him. Absolutely loved it. Just the clothing and the accessories and all that kind of thing. And so yeah, I think at that point that was the figure. I had that figure and I was happy with that. That was it. That was indie. I didn't really start looking, at other stuff, but I think over the months, I think I did start to investigate more, have a look at Hot Toys and see what else they had, and then these are kind of like the next batch. So the second figure I bought was the DX09 Batman. Oh, the other question: did I have it? Have I still got that indie? I have parts of it. I have the boots from that one and the pistol are on one of my indies, but everything else has gone. So
and that DX05 probably goes for a pretty penny now, I'd imagine, Brad.
Yeah, the problem is like when you were talking to Marvelez, they bought one boxed new, and she said I opened it up and all the pleather just deteriorated, and that is the problem with that figure.
Thanos snapped right over
the
box.
Yeah, and that figure's notorious for it because it's. I mean, pleather's never great at the best of times, but pleather from 11 years ago, I mean, it was paper thin, and a lot of people have had to replace, and thankfully there is a huge custom market in indie now, so you can, I've made belts and holsters and stuff myself, so, and whips and things like that, so it's not difficult to replace them, but obviously it's money, and if you've already spent £400 or £500 on the figure, it's just funny how things change, because that used to be, if you wanted to put together a custom indie, that was the go-to starting point. But they were cheap for a while. I used to pick them up and part them out. I must have sold about 15 of them. I made a bit of money for my own collection and stuff. Yeah. So I've made the DX05 scarcer for all those collectors, because I've definitely split out a good 10 to 15 of them. So, yeah. But, so you can't do that now because it's so expensive.
You used to buy the figure and part it out then?
Yeah, part out all the bits.
All right, like Toy Anxiety, or they specialise in that, don't they? That's a great idea.
Yeah, it was quite a lucrative thing. It made me a bit of money for my my own collection or my own kind of indie addiction. But obviously now that Present Toys one came out earlier in the year, and that's a fraction of the price. It's got couple of decent head sculpts, so I think if anyone's looking to put together an indie, and they are re-releasing it, they're doing another batch, should be out fairly soon. So I would go for the Present Toys rather than the DX05, because as you say, you don't know what you're going to get when you open the DX05, and you may find that all of the pleather goods are just disintegrated. So then I went investigating.
The one, do you know? No, you're all right. Do you know? It only takes one flashback in that new indie movie. We spoke about this last Thursday. It only takes one flashback for an announcement like of a kind of original indie or whatever.
Yeah, there's a lot of people saying Hot Toys. Really, it'd be great if they do.
Yeah.
But I'm just not sure because I think there's something going on with Harrison Ford and his likeness. 'Cause
Yeah,
we haven't
it's not
seen
as
a
simple
hand.
as Andor.
No.
Did you watch Andor episode 6?
I know I haven't watched. I haven't watched
All right,
it.
I won't. I won't say what I was going to say. So
I'll watch it after this. I forgot all about it.
Yeah.
But
It's
you know,
good.
we haven't had a Harrison Ford figure since I think Old Han from Force Awakens. So I wouldn't hold my breath for it, but
true,
that present
true.
toys is a good starting point. Yeah, so I think I then went searching for hot toys, and so DX09. You're gonna crucify me. I don't own that figure anymore. I sold that figure.
It looks great here. Is that the stock cape?
That is the stock cape, actually. Yeah.
It doesn't look bad there because I know
No, it
everyone
doesn't.
complains about it.
It doesn't. I think I got lucky there. Yeah, that's the stock cape. But I mean, I did replace the cape, and it did look a lot better. But again, at the time, I was like, wow, this is incredible. And as Ian said on his when he did the show, it's essentially a statue. You can't do a lot with him pose wise. And I did have eventually I got the returns one, and I sort of prefer that a little bit, but I sold that as well.
It looks great here, in fairness. Like it just looks good. Keaton couldn't do much in the suit.
No, I think maybe because I've tucked a lot of the cape back, so it doesn't quite look sort of so like bin baggish. But that's a great figure. I love the base with the lamps, that the spots on it and stuff like that. That was probably about 200 as well.
200
and then I think so. Yeah, and then I've got the is it the DX12, the first of that Batman.
Yeah, that's DX12.
Yeah, and the Man of Steel, Superman, and I also went into Avengers, so I got the original Iron Man Mark 7, the Cap, and Thor and Hulk. So from the original Avengers movie. So I kind of went quite hard into Avengers. And then the anomaly that was the DX07 came out. A one-off Star Wars figure. Bespin Luke.
That's great.
Yeah, and that's again. I just picked him up loose. I didn't really want the pair of them. So I think somebody had bought it and they wanted the damaged one with the with the stand and everything, and they was just selling off this guy as is. And I think he was £100 or something. So I think I'd won something from some money from work or something. So I treated him, and I still have him. He's got a custom sculpt on now, but everything else is original. So I've still got him. And obviously we then had like quite a long wait for any more Star Wars stuff from Hot Toys. By this point, the addiction was definitely kicking in massively. But at this point, I was single. I was living at home, so I had money. I could kind of, I'd have that, and have that, and I'd have one of that, and it's difficult now when you've grown up and you've got a family and you've got a house.
Don't grow up; it's a trap.
I try not to. And then I started this indie addiction. So I decided that I did a Temple of Doom, and I thought, I'll do a Last Crusade. Oh, and then I need one from Crystal Skull. So, and this is kind of the start of that indie addiction. That old, the Crystal Skull one, that's got the old Han head on it, but that's now I replaced that with the Deckard one from what's the name of them? I forget who. Can't remember the makers. It was a third-party company, and they did a couple of figures from Blade Runner 2049.
So these are all customs, are they?
Yep, these are all customs.
That you've done yourself, yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So the three, the Temple, the Raiders, and the Last Crusade, they've all got. You had Trevor on a couple of shows ago, and he talked about Inigo Gil. They're his sculpts there. And so that's the Hot Toys.
They were some of his favourite figures. The sculpt looks great,
beautiful. Yeah, and the Luke as well that he talked about, the Jedi Luke. yeah, Inigo's stuff's fantastic, and yeah, I've got a lot of his stuff, and they're all painted by Mark Simpson. Is a UK based painter. I'd heartily recommend him if you want. I know you said you haven't kind of gone down the custom route, and you're probably sensible not to because you wouldn't have no money left.
Yeah.
Super Mad Toys, Andre. That's it. Yeah, Super Mad Toys, old Deckard, which is a better sculpt. So that's what I've now got on the Crystal Skull. But yeah, this was a revelation when they first made these sculpts, because that Hot Toys one wasn't good. The XO5, and I think the biggest problem was because it had the purrs. It just didn't work
right.
Yeah, and I mean Inigo's done 4 different versions now. So there's a version 1, is a version 2, is version 3. There's a smiling indie, you know, and then loads of other people have done it. But when I first started, there wasn't a lot of sort of indie fodder out there. It was more difficult. Whereas now, I mean, there's been so many custom runs and things like that, but it's very expensive now.
Absolutely, everything's just
yeah.
Not cheaper.
So just a little bit. So this is like the past. So I had 2 Det-Offs for a long time. So on the left there, that's kind of quite an early one. So I had the Avengers and some Lord of the Rings, started getting Star Wars, some superhero stuff. Even some old Universal monsters down in the corner there, Sideshow. Then the middle one, kind of an evolution. This is when it moved to where I live now. Reshuffle and bits and pieces. But as you can see,
2-pack RoboCop on the top, or is that? Did you get the battle damage and then a clean as well?
That's the battle damage. Yeah, but I have picked up the Murphy when Ian talked about regretting selling his 2-pack. I bought the Murphy, and Dave bought the
maniacal laugh.
Yes, so I have that in my collection. So I've got the set of them now. I know you've got the chair, which is cool. I haven't got the room for the chair, but I imagine that looking at these Det-Offs is driving you crazy with your your one or two per shelf, and
yeah, it's like everyone has their own thing and how they display them, like, you know, and I just I don't know if I can. I liked when the figures have a bit of room to breathe, but
yeah.
Like, people are already asking me, like, so, like, if you have too many figures, what are you going to do? And I remember Roy Visser from 6-Scale Scavengers spoke about rotating his figures, and I think I do quite like that idea, because you might only be able to display half your figures, but you get to rotate them every few months and repose them, and I find that quite therapeutic. It gives you a chance to, if you have to actually give the details a wipe or whatever like that. But, at the same time, sometimes part of me is kind of going, do you really want like 20 figures up in your attic after spending that money?
I
don't like that. I haven't done it yet, but
no,
I think
I have to have them all on display. And if I genuinely run out of room, then something has to go.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
To give.
I wouldn't rule out module cases, but at the same time, I wouldn't be in a rush either. So, and they wouldn't anyway, even if you ordered them. So,
well, no, exactly. And then just on the right there, I switched to Billy's 2 Billy bookcases about 4 or 5 years ago. Just gave me a bit of extra room. That's not the current configuration, but yeah. So they're not as deep as a Det-Off, so it kind of gave me a few issues in terms of, you know, having figures behind each other. But obviously, I gave me the extra sort of width there, so I was able to kind of, you know, have a New Hope shelf, an Empire shelf, a Jedi shelf, a Lord of the Rings. So I was able to kind of group them together a bit better.
Do you have backgrounds there as well?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Some I printed off myself. Some I bought. Some I bought just off eBay. Some I printed off myself. So like the indie ones are just all posters and stuff that I printed off. And although the Lord of the Rings is a proper, that was done by Dean Gladwell of Backdrops and Bases. and I had somebody else build me the base and everything with the tomb and bits and pieces. So that was a special project, that one. But the others are just kind of like they're Detolf ones, so they're split down the middle. So there's 2 different backgrounds behind each of them. But obviously you can't see much of the background because of the figures.
Right.
But yeah, but I think I like it because it just gives a bit of colour to it. I don't like seeing the wall, if you know what I mean, behind them.
Yeah, I get you.
But that's only because I've never got around to decorating, and there's some horrible wallpaper in here. At some point, I need to. This is the trouble. Now it's all established. I don't really want to have to shift it, but at some point,
yeah, I get
I
you.
do, because I've got a projector in here now, so I really want to paint all the walls a darker colour and stuff like that. So it will happen at some point, but it's like, where's it all going to go? Where am I going to put it all?
So
yeah.
then, I'm just curious. On the right there, is that the current setup then?
No, that's not the current. I have a current.
Right. Okay. Grand. Okay.
So that's an evolution. That's kind of when I first had them. And if you see on the left, the doors are different. So they came with the doors on the right, which is with the thicker border, and obviously you lost a lot of the figures down the middle. And then I bought some. They're called Morliden doors. So they've still got the silver down the middle, but it's much thinner. And that really improved it. So that was like I think when I just took that when I'd replaced one set, just as a before and after. But yeah, they're really good.
Gotcha.
So yes, that's my past really. So yeah, did I answer all the questions?
Yeah, that's exactly basically what we wanted to know. Kind of how you got into this hobby / addiction. So obviously, before we move on to like where you're at now, and you have a few more photos for us as well.
I do.
You?
Yep.
Excellent. So definitely came prepared. So before we move on to the present and where you're at now and your kind of collecting hobby or journey, like who's your go-to retailer and why?
I currently I have 2. I use well, in terms of new figures, if I'm going to pre-order or I want to buy something new, then I'll either go to Toys Buying Agent or 1/6 Kit. So and I've had fantastic experiences with both. Never had any customs charges. The customer service from both is exemplary.
Yeah. Toys Buying Agent are great. I haven't used Kit, but I've heard
1/6
Kit is brilliant.
Well. He's really good, and I've kind of lent more towards Kit because I have to. It's a smaller deposit. I think they only takes like 10%, whereas TBA used to take 20%, but now if you go on there, you only get the option to pay 50% or 100%. And I kind of like. Ultimately, you're paying the same money, and you could argue that, depending on what the exchange rate is like at the time. But I prefer to put a smaller amount down because at least then, if you do decide you have to cancel it, you're not losing much. But then again, if quite often you're better off taking the figure and selling it because. I don't think I've ever lost money on a figure, and particularly if it's something really new that's only just been out in Hong Kong for a week and you get it on your, in the post. You can shift stuff. I mean, I've done that and I've put it on Facebook and it's gone in 5 minutes. So I would always say, unless you physically can't release those funds to pay the figure, you're always better, I would say, buy it and sell it and don't lose your deposit because. So those 2, but a lot of these figures I've bought on Facebook groups. Probably at least half of these figures are second hand that I bought. Got some really good deals. I'm like Ian. I don't really care. I'll buy loose figures. I'll buy broken figures. Because I can do a few fixes and mods and bits and pieces. If they're a bargain, it doesn't really bother me.
That's an Ed 209 there, is it?
It is. Yep.
Oof.
Yep.
Do you still have it?
Yeah. Yep. This is the current setup here.
Oh right, sorry.
I took this yesterday. So
how's it holding up?
It's fine. it's got a few. When I bought it, had a few cracks on the dome, but I just 303'd it, and it's not got any worse in 3-4 years. So that's the current setup.
Sorry, I'm totally cutting you off.
Go on.
I'm just wondering, is that the Jazz Inc. Cockpit?
It is the Falcon cockpit. Yeah, I've got a better picture of that.
Yeah.
Yep,
and I think all those blades as well, are they the ones that do you make them, or does Ian make them?
I've made
Good
those
stuff.
Yeah. Well, I tried to make them a few years ago, and it was a bit of a disaster, so I kind of gave up. But I always refused to pay the money that the customizers charge, and I'm not saying that, you know, fair play to them, and you know, people are happy to pay them, but I just thought it's all right if you're buying one or two, but you know, £100 each, and I wanted like tons of them. And whilst I say I haven't got any prequel figures, I kind of that's not true. I have prequel Jedis because I just kind of went mad and went, right, okay, I want to make some more sabers, so I need figures for them. So I've got the Maul versus Qui-Gon and
yeah, they look great, man.
Yeah, and Mace and stuff. So I just started making them, and I got it right. And you know, you break a few because they're very fragile. But and the annoying thing with that is they're not expensive, but you can only get them from China. So you know, if you break it, or you break two of them, then you've got to kind of wait for them. But I've kind of got it down to a bit of an art now. It's it's good fun. I like it, and it just adds that little bit of extra. But yeah, the Jazz Inc. Falcon cockpit, which is cool. Power loader, Ed 209. The Tauntaun and the Dewback, they're Hasbro ones that have been repainted and modded and what have you. So a fraction of the price of the Sideshow statues, which I couldn't justify paying the sort of money for those. So I'm really happy with it at the moment. There's not really a lot of there's no space left. I've got a few figures on order and stuff, but I'll have to be creative with where they go. And I've got some other, but have a look behind me. So this is just a sort of close up of the indie. So I've got 12 6-scale indies now, plus some other. I've got Marion and the Swordsman and Mola Ram and the Grail Knight and stuff like that. So I absolutely love these two shelves.
And a lot of these are that really, really good head sculpt, the custom one that you're speaking about. What was the name of that?
Inigo Gil. Yeah, so I've got all 4 versions of his, and I've also got the Crystal Skull one's got that Superman toys. I've got a couple of MJ Choi sculpts as well. So you know, there's a Janix one. So there's so many people who've done them, and there's people doing them all the time. And I think sometimes the beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Some people love this one, some people prefer that one. I've got mostly Inigo, but I do like some of the others. So if I've ever seen them come up at a good price, then I tend to snap them up. But obviously, you know, you can, unless you know someone like Ian, who will do them for you, you know, paint them up for free. Although Ian's rates are very reasonable. Obviously, you know, you've got the cost of the sculpt, and you've got to have it painted, and you've got to send it away and stuff like that. But I've always used Mark Simpson, and I've always been really impressed with his work. So I think once I'd had him do one indie, then I've stuck and had him do all of them, so that they've got a kind of a common look to them. And then behind me, I've got just a little sort of fun section. So I put up a couple of these floating shelves, and I've got Pennywise. I've got the So-So Toys Green Menace with Hot Toys Miles Morales and the classic suit Spider-Man. I've got Durasteel Mando with a little diorama backdrop I made. I have got some.
He's one of your few Star Wars figures who's non-OT. Would that be right?
Correct. Yeah.
You've got a few prequels into that.
Yeah, I just said I love I love that suit. That to me is my favourite suit, the Durasteel, and I think I picked him up. He was just missing the base. This is only last year.
Oh, he was missing the base.
The Man on the Moon base.
Put his feet, man.
I know. But I think I got him for 140, so I couldn't not.
Oh man, like that's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And then I've just got a couple. I've got a Superman and a Batman there, just on both on custom Fireson bodies, and I just have to have a Superman and a Batman. I've gone through many iterations of them, but I've settled upon what I see as more like a classic comic book look.
Is that Dark Knight Returns? No.
It's no, it's the suit is the and the head sculpt and everything is the SSR Hush Batman.
Oh right, yeah. I'm with you now.
But I sold the body and I put it on a Fireson, and it looks so much better because you can't see all the because it's a really tight
stuff,
spandex. So yeah, it really shows off all the joints and everything. And the Superman is a custom suit that I bought a long time ago, and Hot Toys Christopher Reeve head, because for me he is and always will be my Superman. So yeah, so that's kind of like, so they've kind of snuck in behind me here, just because I ran out of room and I was like, well, I want this figure, I want the Pennywise and what have you. So I made a little bit of space, but I am really like pushing the boundaries of what's left in this room as to displays. But yeah, so I just picked these out. So that's
that looks super.
Yeah,
both of them.
yeah. So the
Yeah.
power loader, it's an absolute beast. I was so lucky to get it, because I don't even see them on eBay now. But there was one on eBay, and I started messaging the seller, and it turned out he was quite local to me. So he met me in the car park at work, and it was basically he'd never unboxed it. So he kind of sold it as mint. It wasn't, but it was very minor problems I had to fix. I mean, if you have a look, there's about 30 hoses, the hydraulic hoses, and what happens is they've got little plugs on the back, and they tend to just snap off. So I thought, I'm never selling it. I've got this Grail, and I think I paid about 300 for it, and they were going for stupid money, 700, 800.
Yeah, it's
I just glued them
cool
all and I
piece,
fixed it all. Yeah, and I put the lights in. So I changed the revolving light in the top, and I put these cabin lights in, so it lit her face.
Yeah, I want to ask you there. So that's custom then.
Yeah. All they are a tiny little. I don't know if you've ever done any custom lighting for Lego.
Right.
There's companies like Fernando I use, and they're the tiniest LEDs, and with a really small wire that you can kind of hide. So yeah, they're just so you can see, and that's the suit from the old original Ripley that Hot Toys put out on a Fireson body there with the alien Ellen Ripley with just the haircut short. So I've got two of those now. So I've got one with Newt holding Newt with the pulse rifle and the flamethrower as well.
That's deadly.
Yeah, definitely. And then then the Jazz Inc. Dioramas Falcon cockpit, which is an absolute work of art, a thing of beauty. So I've got my A New Hope set up in there, basically.
And all those lights. Sorry, all those lights.
Yeah.
Are they like they're just that comes out of the box from Jazz Inc. Or did you put in some of those lights?
Yeah, no. That's all there. Yeah. They did two versions. They did an unlit version, and then they did the DX, which was this with all the lights. And to be honest, you got to have the lights.
You got to have the lights.
It makes it. So yeah, and I just love it. I love I custom painted it all inside, so you can't really see it here, but I weathered it all up and made it all dirty and beaten up and stuff like that.
Yeah, it looks there's something like I've seen them before, but I knew there was something different about that. Yeah, it does just looks like the vintage look, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because it was, it was beaten up, it was dirty, it was, well used, like the universe. So yeah, I did that up, sort of, dirtied up the outside and stuff as well. I just like tinkering with stuff and weathering things and everything. But yeah, so that's New Hope Han, but with a J-Nix sculpt. That's a stock Cheerio. They did a little bit of work to the face, just with some pastels, just to lighten it up a bit. Hot Toys Leia with the custom Yunsil dress that I believe Trevor was talking about as well.
Yeah, he was saying that he didn't like the dress.
That stock
on the
dress
original.
was pretty nasty. So it was expensive, but it makes all the difference.
Did the stock dress just like not sit right, or was it billowy?
It didn't sit right. It didn't have like a weight to it. Whereas this has got, it's got a drape and a weight to it. I think the Hot Toys one would just sort of stick out at funny angles, and you could probably do a water treatment and make it better. But this $150 for basically a piece of white material. It's a lot of money, but it transforms the figure, and I see those going for ridiculous money, even just the stock ones. But if you see on for sale with the dress, you're £600 now. So it's definitely worth it. And that's the Sideshow 3PO. I've got a couple of those. I recently weathered up one with R2 to look like from Beginning a New Hope, with the oil and the scuffing and stuff like that. So
that's a lovely setup, man. It looks really good.
Yeah, so I just put those two in because they're kind of like a couple of the highlights of the bigger pieces that I've got, and that's what I've sort of recently. I've tried to get some bigger pieces like the Tauntaun and the Dewback and things like that. I did own a DeLorean, and an 18 and the Batmobile, but I sold them both.
The 89, yeah.
Yeah, that thing is huge.
Yeah, I've heard it's a space killer. Like
it's huge. You don't realize how big it is until you get it, and apparently I think it's undersized anyway. People say so. Yeah, slightly. Great piece, but I had to move that on, and DeLorean was a more difficult sort of choice, but in the end, I kept Marty, and I've got Doc, the Back to the Future 1 Doc coming, but I had to let the DeLorean go. But it's a DeLorean. But it's nice to have owned it.
Yeah. It's just stunning looking pieces. And I have a question for you. And I had it now, and it's kind of just popped out of my head. So like at the moment, like, so obviously, like, you're a seasoned collector, you're a veteran collector. You've done customs, you bought and sell, you've changed up you've done mods and changed up your setup and stuff like that. So like when you recommend the likes of Toys Buying Agent or 1/6 Kit, people can obviously take that as saying like, look, he's been in the game a long time. So and in terms then of like, say, like where you are now, like as in like, do you have any pre-orders currently? Because I know a lot of people say they've kind of like stopped pre-ordering, and suddenly something goes on blue light on Sideshow and everyone starts pre-ordering again. And
I tried to stop, and I was saying I haven't got pre-orders and stuff, but I seem to have accumulated quite a few. I've got I don't know if you've seen it. There's we looked at it on the show, the Inbox Studio Wampa. I've got one of those coming, so it's a custom 1/6 scale Wampa to go with my Hoth setup. But I've got that the Doc Brown from Back to the Future. What else have I got? The Obi-Wan Kenobi Darth Vader. I just couldn't. I couldn't not. To be honest, I couldn't.
Yeah, that was. It's just a special looking piece, really, isn't it?
Oh, look at that. Peter's rocking the absolute shit out of the khaki CW icon. My God. Here it is. It's where it all started. I wouldn't be where I was today without
we should really ask Zach to weigh in on our mic levels. Just
of course. Sure. I'm surprised he hasn't already, but maybe we're okay.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
Yeah, and I
just have to give a shout out to Zach because when I had Posing with Peter on, I asked him had he ever dopoed anything, and he said, well, I've actually hopoed something hour one. He said he's houred one pre-ordered something, and I made a joke saying, so you hopoed. And I mentioned hopo to Zach when I did an episode of Visions, and he was just like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. It was fun to watch. But
there we go. That is
he using us? He's abusing us now. Okay, so Pete sounds like I'm listening to a choir of angels. So I'm getting abused then.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I've got I
Lyle.
don't know why. I went off on a bit of a whim, and I pre-ordered the Attack of the Clones 3PO and R2 and the Battle Droid, and I've recently just pre-ordered the droid pack. But the droids are all for my son because he's 12 now, and he's always enjoyed my collection and everything, and we've always said, well, you're a bit young for them, they're not really toys and everything, but we kind of got to the point where, okay, we're going to try and trust him with them. So I pre-ordered the Battle Droid because he absolutely loves Battle Droids.
Mm-hmm.
And when I showed him the R5D4 with the Pit Droid and the other one, he was like, "Oh, can I have it?" And I said, "Well, it's very expensive. Well, I've got money." And all that stuff. So yeah, we've pre-ordered that as well. So we're hoping that one or both of those might make it before Christmas next year. But yeah, we're not sure.
It's
but
kind of year of the droid, isn't it?
It
because
is.
You've R5D4, the Pit Droid, the BD-72, the KX Enforcer. You then have C-3PO and R2-D2.
Yep.
You also have, I think you mentioned, the battle droids. And
Yep,
I'm pretty sure I'm
Geonosis
missing
one.
one. I am missing one. The Dark Trooper. That's all in the 1 year.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it
you
is the
could
year
set
of
up
the droid.
a droid display.
Yeah. And I think that's
Yeah.
what he's going for. He's kind of he's never really liked human characters. He always likes
I hate
the
humans
droids
too.
or the
I like them
yeah,
already.
exactly. so he's going to start his Hot Toys droid collection. So that's going to be cool, and that's going to start his lifelong addiction with this crazy game. But so
How
I have
old
got
is he?
more. He's 12. He
12,
just
gotcha.
started secondary school, so yeah, and we were into Warhammer a bit and stuff and like that. But so I've got quite a few pre-orders, and they kind of sort of crept up. And I've also got the Chrome Mando, but I might pass him on because I've got the Durasteel one now. So
So
but
this
yeah,
is the Chrome Mando with the armor and
correct,
everything but the kitchen sink.
yeah.
You know the way everyone said the way there was the that display where he has the speeder bike controller, the pole, and he has everything hanging off, and people were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, no one's going to display him like that." I think that's the way to display him because you have like everything with him, and it's like he's walked out of a scene in the movie. I think that's a lovely looking piece, but I think it's a
I agree, but
centerpiece even.
I see your point, but I ordered the normal version, so I haven't got the
Oh right,
the handlebars, and I think it's got some of Boba Fett's armor, hasn't it, and stuff like the helmet and stuff. Like that.
Yeah.
I think it was about £50 difference, and I thought at the time, no, I don't think I would. But I get what you mean. It's it would make a good display.
I can't justify getting it unless either the Durasteel or my Beskar Mando goes. But I think a lot of people drop the Beskar Mando like a hot snot. But I really like it. I really like that kit. It comes with a lot of different
that was
stuff,
an issue, wasn't it? Because you had people that hadn't even received that one, and then they put out the pre-order for the new one. So I think that was a bad move, and obviously, but it don't take away from that Beskar figure. It's a great figure. Obviously, the selling point of the new one is you get the Din Djarin head sculpt.
Yeah, and the shiny.
Yeah, exactly.
Bling
Who
bling.
knows? I might get it and love it and decide that I can do two Mandos like yourself. But at the moment, the plan will be to probably move that on. But and also I'll also collecting on a smaller scale. I'm collecting the NECA Universal Monsters line. So I've got quite a lot of those on pre-order, but they're obviously a smaller ticket price, kind of £35, £40
And
each.
what scale are they roughly, or do they?
They're 7-inch, so they're just bigger than
right.
like 1/10 scale maybe. I always dabble. I always have some smaller scale stuff, and I'm going to buy those indie figures as well that the Hasbro Pulse unveiled a couple of weeks ago, and I quite like them because I will sit and play with those Hot Toys or 1/6 scale. I do tend to, although I like the fact that they're posable, I tend to pose them up and then I leave them.
Yeah.
Whereas a 1/12, a 7, they're the sort of thing I just sit and play with, because it doesn't matter so much if you break it or it's so I've always got some smaller scale stuff, and I've got those like gremlins behind me and things like that, but mostly 1/6. I got rid of a lot of smaller scale stuff.
Sometimes it simplifies things, doesn't it? Like
and that's where my heart that's where my heart is.
Yeah.
I think sometimes just something else comes along that's so good that you think, I've got to have that. This is the focus. And I have
a few
no
quarters. Well, one quarter.
The only one I've got is the old indie, the premium format.
All right.
Sideshow one, which is you could just see that here.
I see. And how is it holding up? And
the jacket's notorious for flaking, being pleather, but it tends to be. When I got mine, it was only a little bit around the cuffs. So again, I repainted it all and sealed it all, and it hasn't changed since that day. It's fine. And I made a custom leather belt for it and a holster and bits and pieces. So I did quite a lot of work on it, repainting and stuff like that. It was a figure that I always wanted, and I passed up on it a long time ago. Like, I think even before I bought the Hot Toys one, and it was not expensive at the time. It was like £150. And I just thought, like, at that time, I was like, oh, that's too much. I can't pay for that. And it was something I always regretted. And it was always, whenever I saw it, it was £500, this. And then I got this one. I think I got it for about £250. And I jumped it. I've got to have that. And I absolutely love it. But that's the only quarter scale I've got. I'd entertain having the Vader. And you talk about that. That's a great piece.
I talk about it too.
Yeah. But quarter scale, and obviously this isn't posable. It's a mixed media statue. I've never owned a posable quarter scale, so I can't imagine how cool that is. But obviously
I've got the Mark III, and it's just really nice, and it's nice to wear the Mark III. But that quarter scale Vader, like, I just have a funny feeling they're going to do. I know that they released the Dark Knight. I think it was the Dark Knight. I think it was the Dark Knight Rises quarter scale Batman, and a lot of people raved about it, the head sculpt and everything. Some people, I've heard people say it's their favorite thing they've ever had in Hot Toys. But then they've now re-released it. They're doing a reissue, it's a soft reissue, 2.0 with the fancy base and stuff. I have that one on pre-order.
Okay.
But I know a lot of people want them to do a 40th anniversary Vader, basically shrink down the quarter scale, but that makes logical sense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they just rebox and give a fresh base and do, for the 40th anniversary, do the quarter scale again.
Yeah, I think so. I think do the both. Do the quarter and do the 1/6 as well.
Yeah.
As you say.
So I can't justify going onto eBay and buying...
No.
Even like you see some of them for like maybe €600, but then shipped and stuff like that. I can't justify it if there is possibly a 2.0 around the corner, and I could be wrong. I could be way wrong.
No, it's worth waiting for. It's as you said, it's the 40th anniversary of Jedi.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if we don't get some figures from that film. So
and sometimes it's nice when you, like, I always wanted a RoboCop, and when I looked at all the different versions, the battle damage, the 2-pack, the normal diecast one with the battle damage, the chair and everything, the one with the chair is the one I always had my eye on.
Yeah.
And when I eventually found it, I did want to get it new, and I eventually found it for €500, and it was $425 new, and I still had to pay shipping on top of that, obviously. But there's something about waiting and finding something that you're willing to pay that's not astronomical.
Yeah.
But when you get it, it's like you could have gotten it a year before, 2 years before, 3 years before, but you would have paid through the nose.
Yep.
And I would have had a little bit of guilt then going, I think I overpaid for this.
Yeah.
And there's that bit of patience when you do get it, you appreciate it more. I do anyway, definitely. It's like I waited for this.
Yeah, and those RoboCop figures, that line is fantastic.
They've done great stuff with it. Like, it's fantastic,
Yeah, and that Ed 209 I picked up really cheap, and it was local, and I just went and picked it up, and it was people. I think some people overreact, and and they started getting the cracks and stuff. Oh, I need to get rid of that, and to me that was never an issue, and also I was able to sort of mostly alleviate the issues there. But
What kind of material is it that it cracks? Is it like a rubber? Or
it's like a rubber, some sort of rubber, yeah. But as I say, I treated it with I think it was 303, or it might have been Mod Podge actually, and only ever done it the once, and it looks fine as it is now.
Because I've got that Robocop sitting down in the chair, and I have done for the last month to 6 weeks, possibly 2 months. And
have you put anything in between them? Because apparently
when you say in between, where exactly do you mean?
Between his arse and the seat.
To contact points, like, so it's not.
Yeah, because I've heard people say that he gets stuck. People have had him get stuck to the seat.
Really? As in is that if the back of the knees, the rubber is touching the chair?
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Metal?
What is it? Is it like a black plastic, or is it like a softer on the what's on the seat? Is it just metal, or has it got like
the seat seems to be plastic, like, but
I
there's two things I read. One thing was like, when you put him on the chair, the contact points, put some foam or something in between the chair, at the contact points, basically, so he's touching foam as opposed to touching the chair. I've done that, but then Joao, Big Brother, was saying that he's heard if you leave it in the sitting pose with the knees bent too much, that the rubber in the knees can actually crack.
Maybe it was something that whether they were sticking to it or there was some sort of paint transfer or something, which is happens with a lot of figures. But I think I 303'd, or I did all of the joints on the Ed 209 as well, because that was another thing that they are prone to cracking, and they'll peel away from where they're joined to the plastic. So Robocop's probably the same. Anywhere they've got these rubber joints, obviously, there's a potential for them to split. But I think, Robocop's sticky ass is what makes him a Grail in the first place.
Seeing them right, yeah. I'll catch up with the chat really quickly, actually. Those Star Wars figures look so cool together, better than a very large sum of their parts. Also, turn up the stream, Shane, just as Shane says my username. Oh, all right. That's funny, because I said shiny earlier on. That's what it was, or something. Yeah. In reference to something. So the NECA American Werewolf.
I did own that. I've sold that now, but that's a good piece. Yeah.
And I love a quarter scale too, but they've never made a character I love. You don't love Darth Vader? Oh my god.
Yeah.
Maybe
that's maybe that's a good question you could add in. Like if you could have one. If you could have a quarter scale made of who would you go for?
Yeah, go on then. Who would you go for?
I would probably go for a Lord of the Rings, so a Gandalf or an Aragorn, something like that. Because I think I'd want something that had a lot of like cool layers of clothing and different materials and stuff, so you could really appreciate it. Not something that's just kind of like a hard plastic or something like that. And I'm very excited to see what the in-art Aragorn looks like. We're going to see that in a couple of days.
That is just too much of a coincidence. You read my mind.
I did.
So I know how you feel about the in-art Joker, and there's nobody out of the 26 people who are watching who want to talk or listen to people talk about it anymore, so we're not going to. So, not including that one, give us just your thoughts on in-art in general. Anything observations you have, if you're excited or not. Are you willing to drop money on anything you've seen so far? So what are your overall impressions?
Joker was an easy pass because I know it's sacrilegious to yourself and other people, but I'm not a massive fan of the. And
that's all we have time for today, folks. It's been great. Thanks very much, Pete. It's all right. Yeah. Go on. I heard Costa last night on Lael's channel giving out.
Hey, Trevor. Nice one. Nice to see you.
Trevor, how are you doing, my friend?
Put a fantastic indie photo up today with the Inigo riding the horse. It was really good.
I'm looking forward to Trevor. Actually, sorry, I won't interrupt you again. I do like a good beer when I'm streaming, but I don't drink in September and October. But I do have a midterm coming up, and Trevor said that he streams on Friday nights.
That's right, yeah.
So I might stay up late if that invite is still open to. I think it's the 1/6 pack. They have a few beers and they discuss figures and photography. I'd be keen about that. So if
you're very welcome.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the Nolan trilogy and everything, but apart from the fact I did own the Dark Knight at one point, I don't have any of that range. So I can appreciate it looks amazing, and I hope it turns out like fantastic for everyone that's really excited about it, and it will prove that they are as good as they're kind of purported to be. Now Gandalf obviously is a different one because I'm a massive Lord of the Rings fan. I've got my Lord of the Rings shelf and everything. I wasn't 100% sold on the sculpt. I can appreciate the routing is fantastic and everything, and the clothing and everything, but to me, for whatever it was, $350, $400, I'm not sure exactly, it would have to be perfect for me. And I've got a perfectly decent, I've got a custom Gandalf, so I used a sculpt from Magneto. I forget the company, but it was a really good Ian McKellen sculpt. Older, and then Ian painted it for me, and then I added the beard and the hair and everything, and I'm quite happy with that. And because he's in that diorama, the Mines of Moria diorama, then I think it would be overkill to have an in-art Gandalf in there where he's kind of just a bit in the background. I couldn't justify having, so that one was a bit harder, but I was quite resolute on no, I'm happy with what I've got. But the Aragorn, I'm very excited to see what they can do with that, because I've got an ACI Aragorn. I don't know if many people know that. They used to have the before Asmus got the 1/6 scale Lord of the Rings license, there was a company called ACI that had it, and they released a few figures. They did Witch King, they did the Nazgul, couple of the orcs and stuff, and they did an Aragorn, and fantastic figure. I got that a while back. The clothing, everything's brilliant, and I actually don't mind the sculpt. It came with rooted hair, and it was a bit like out of the box. It was kind of like you had to do a lot of work with it. I did a lot of sort of trimming it and gelling it and getting the right shape. I still think that it's way better than anything that Asmus has done, and Asmus have done Aragorn 3 times now, and I don't see the likeness. But the ACY, it's okay, but it's not great. If InArt nail that sculpt, I'm in, because nobody's done it, and if they manage to somehow work their magic and get a spot on 95% Viggo Mortensen, then I think I'm in, regardless of well, not regardless of the price, but obviously if it's we're expecting it to be based on the base, it'll be from the version from the end of Fellowship of the Ring on Amon Hen. So that's the look that everyone wants. It's the Ranger look, really. There's already a little bit of murmurings because the leather wrap on the sword should be a dark green colour, as should the sheath, and people think that InArt might have used a cheap knockoff one from eBay, and I've seen some pictures where they're black and they're not quite right. But again, they listen to Zach and the CW boys and with the staff thing on Gandalf, and I think that people have sent pictures and said like this is meant to be green and stuff like that. So I've no doubt they will fix it. So I think we're 2 days away from seeing the reveal of Aragorn. So I think it's the first InArt figure that I would I'm very excited to see, and I would seriously think about pre-ordering that.
Yeah.
Um,
I love the way they just gave that teaser just with the base and the sword to the side. Now I don't have the Lord of the Rings goggles. I watched. I've not read the books. I've watched the trilogy multiple times. I've been to New Zealand 3 times. I would just watch it even for the scenery with the sound down. However, that would be sacrilege, because the soundtrack's amazing and the action and it's just a bloody good trilogy. Like, so like I could put that on any time and enjoy it. But what I said when I was kind of doing a bit of just kind of acknowledged, I did a bit of streaming, did a bit of 6 scale news as you do, and just acknowledged, like, I really liked how they advertised it. Even like, I do actually quite like the base and just the way the sword was there, but I don't have the eye for it, so I did say in the stream going, I'm not sure if this is accurate or if this is long enough for whatever. People I'm sure who's into Lord of the Rings will spot the little differences. They kind of should know at this stage that their audience is particular, and because of the price that they're putting out there and the way they're marketing them as the next level of 6 scale, that people are going to be extra picky, and they should be extra picky.
Exactly. With
that, I had a really interesting comment, a genuinely interesting comment during the week. It was on the video I did about the Black Widow from the Black Widow movie, and I did my points where I was looking forward to because look, it's her last ever appearance, black and gold suit. I really liked the prototype. I don't think it was like as Zach would say, a shrink ray, but I thought it was a solid 8. You could see Scarlett Johansson, but then in the actual product, whether if it was the blogger photos or Justin's view, there's a significant gap between the prototype and the product. And the question in the comment was like, you know, it was along the lines of like, they talked about there are people called, I think they're called super recognizers or something like that, who are just better at recognizing faces than others. And he was kind of saying he was taking it in like kind of a science route, like that there are certain people who are just better at seeing faces and better at recognizing faces. And did I think that this was like a case that some people are better able to recognize the face, or was there a significant difference, and why do people constantly want more? And I was kind of saying, my comeback was, it was kind of like, well, the prices are increasing, so with a higher price you naturally expect more, so we do come to expect more. Also, I think hot toys are a bit like athletes. If an athlete scores like, you know, I don't know, let's say they're a basketball player and they score like 30 points in the game, that's their best. And then the next time when they don't score 30 points in the game, we naturally compare. So, or if an athlete can run a 5k and, you know, whatever a good 5k time is. So, I mean, they kind of, they do a sculpt like, I know Reva isn't out yet, but it looks fantastic, or a Yondu or whoever. They set the bar higher and higher and higher and higher. So we naturally compare it to their best because we know that that's what they can do. So within art, those prices, they need to be getting the strap right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it would be nice to. I mean, obviously, I've no idea when. I presume that the reveal for Aragorn, I don't know when POs will go up. It'd be lovely to kind of wait for the Joker release, which is meant to be this year, is it?
I hear stories, as in these are like, you know, murmurings, that we could be getting that reveal as early as next week or next month. So they might have actually stuck to their schedule, which is a quick turnaround from February to... still not quick. It's quick compared to 2 years. But, you know, they said, this is our plan. Like, they said quarter 4. I was skeptical. I was like, no, it's going to be quarter 1. But they might do, like, the first early batch or something like that to get it out there into the hands of reviewers.
So it would be prudent and nice for me to, you know, be able to see the actual Joker products before I pre-ordered Aragorn, because, you know, that's the real test, isn't it, of whether they can deliver on what they've solicited. And as you say, you know, at the price, it really has to. They can't afford to slip like Hot Toys do, because, all right, you know, Hot Toys aren't cheap now. It's $250, but when you're talking, you know, 500 or 700-800 if you like a double pack and stuff like that. That's going to leave a real bad taste in your mouth. So it'd be interesting to see. It'd be nice if the Aragorn pre-order is not that imminent, and I can kind of hold out and wait and see how hopefully amazing the Joker turns out. But who knows? That best laid plans and all that. But because
I went deep into that. I got the 2-pack and the single sculpted because there's again, like, that's not me being a baller, because I'm definitely not. It's me saying no to a lot of stuff that I think looks cool that I don't love. You know what I mean? So, but I won't pre-order anything else from them until I at least have one of their products in hand, because it just doesn't make sense. It was a risk the first time. Like even the Batman looks great, but I think I'd be happy with the Hot Toys one, to be honest.
Me too. Maybe, that to me, I don't think the differences would warrant the additional price for me. I'd be quite happy with the Hot Toys, and I think you said it. You could get the Hot Toys and the bike for the same price as the in-art. And that would, to me, I'd be happy with that. But I think
now the Bale Batman. I'm really interested to see what they do with the Bale Batman.
Yeah, definitely. But Aragorn's a very important figure for me, and if they nail it, then I think I'll have to get on that one.
It's exciting.
Yeah, definitely.
Address some of these chats there. You mentioned quarter scales actually, and you kind of give me this suggestion. I do want 3 quarter scales, and one Marvel, one DC, and one Star Wars. That the Vader would be the Star Wars I'd be looking at, and I have the Batman on order, and I have the Mark III, and that'd be nice and all, but I would love a DX13, but it's 800-900 euro basically everywhere. But a quarter scale battle damage kind of DX13, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
So
I owned
Trevor,
a DX13 at one point.
Yeah. You seem to have owned all these amazing figures.
I have, because if you have a look, I keep a list of all the figures I've sold, and it's like twice as long as the figures I own now. So I've done a lot of refreshing, and I got into Marvel, and I got rid of all the Marvel. I've had most of the different Terminators and bits and pieces, other Predators, and I just get I get bored of stuff, and I feel that I get it in the collection. It sits in the collection for a while, and that tells me whether or not it really belongs.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah.
And they're all great figures. They're fantastic, but it's it has to really resonate with me, and I've moved a lot of stuff on, but I've also enjoyed having them in hand and seeing them and stuff. So yeah, it's a great figure, but as you say, you've got that worry about if you buy one, what's the state of it? If they say it's new, never opened,
you don't want a dust show.
No, exactly. And but obviously you said you'd prefer a new one to a used one, but at least with the used one, you could hopefully the photographs you see are current, and there isn't the damage, but it's
and I have been lucky with secondhand figures. That Obi-Wan was just got looked out on the Obi-Wan, and the original Shore Trooper, once the price tanked when they announced the squad leader, I saw it like for a decent price that I was willing to pay as well, and nothing, just people like, if it's like, I know if I'm selling a figure, the person is getting a brand new figure, but I can't write it's brand new because I've taken it out. But I know there's, it's, I don't smoke. It's, I treat them well. I'm not messing them around. I'm not putting them through the ringer, posing. Or
and that's why a lot of my figures are used figures, because, I'm quite happy. If I've seen photographs and so I know that they're okay, and I don't have a problem with that. It's nice to have a brand new figure, but I've built up a lot of my collection by buying them secondhand and stuff. Probably not.
Collectors are like, I think, like high-end car owners. Like, if a lot of the time, sometimes if there's certain types of cars that are like, it's the person who buys that car looks after that car. Like, so if there's
exactly.
Apply that logic to it's not a direct logic, but like, right. So Trevor, thank you very much for that. That sounds great. I think I'm going to take you up on that in about tomorrow, 2 weeks, I believe it'll be. Andre, I wouldn't buy anything from InArt yet unless they announce Terminator, Highlander, or Aliens. Then I would take out another mortgage. I did see Queen Studios John, I think it was Six Scale Mafia's channel. He did mention some sort of a license that they were trying to acquire, and he did seem particularly excited about it. And obviously, it can't be a Disney property.
Which rules out Terminator and Aliens because they own Fox now.
But is does that actually rule it out then? Right. So then
I don't know, but
because I know Aliens and Predator was ruled out, but I wasn't sure if Alien fell under the same umbrella.
It's under the Disney umbrella now, but
I don't think Terminator's Fox though. Is Terminator Fox? I don't think it is.
No, maybe not. Aliens is, but yeah. I think Terminator's probably like independent
Viacom or something.
Yeah. So that probably right. To be honest, I prefer it be Terminator because you don't want InArt to do Aliens because you can't just have. You got to have. If you're looking to put together the squad and you're buying 6 or 7 at their prices, then
Terminator's Paramount, I think.
Okay. So they can go in on Terminator, but I'd rather someone a bit lower end did Aliens because I couldn't afford to put a squad together.
A squad,
and if they did a one-off, they'd either just do Ripley or they'd do Hicks, and I think they look
Hot
better
Toys
as
sorted out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Shiny Aragorn is the most difficult person to make a good head sculpt of. Never seen a good head sculpt, kind of like Luke. Boba Fettuccini, thank you very much. He says, cough it up for the kids and the younglings, people. This is the way. Very much appreciate that, Boba Fettuccini. Not expected, no one has to, but it's not going to me. It's going to the Tempest Street Dublin Hospital in January. So I got a lot of support along the way up, so it's kind of like that's just made that decision. If I got to that stage, then I would do some sort of a run. So that is the plan.
You probably, when you started off, you probably thought no one's going to pay money to comment, and it sort of surprises you, doesn't it, to start off? You're like, it's crazy. It's great to do something nice and kind.
I think that's what it was. It was like the thought of, wait, I'm doing this because I get to talk to another collector from a different part of the world to talk about something we have in common. And so I don't end up like wrecking my friends' heads or girlfriends' friends. So, but then the thought that someone's tipping you or going here, like, I appreciate you. That's just mind-boggling. Like.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly.
But I would definitely super chat myself to when I'm enjoying other streams. But I'm looking forward to January when we kind of go right. This is the grand total and everything like that. So Andre, this is the way. This is the way. Just bought a beautiful Aragorn sculpt from Shane Poole and Chris. Is it Caravio?
Yeah, but Caravio. Yeah,
really hope InArt nails
it is nice, but you'd be more than halfway to probably the InArt just for that, for the sculpt, the paint,
it's expensive
and the herring. I mean, that's probably a £400 head. So yes, it is nice, but InArt, hopefully they'll offer the whole figure for £400. So
hopefully. Julie, how are you? Pete's got a great indie collection. Definitely that's come across once or twice, all right?
Yep.
Hit the like button, like and subscribe. Keep this going. Thank you. Shiny. Since we have to use our memory to store faces and that depend on our brains and exposure time, we all recognize even slightly differently. So a good sculpt has to appeal to. Yeah, it's true. It's like I just didn't see. I didn't see Scarlett Johansson there anyway. Hello, gents.
Went wrong there. Yeah.
Keith, how are you, my friend? The more super chats we give after the charity event, the less methane is to cook. I really need to read the comments before I read out the comments.
Yeah.
That's damn Breaking Bad giving chemistry teachers a bad rap. Brandon Salad, he was the very first person to ever super chat. Tips hat. Cool. Thank you very much, Brandon. I do appreciate it.
Cheers,
so I think it's definitely time to, pardon?
I said I'm glad you're enjoying the show.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks very much to the 29 people in here as well. If you haven't subscribed to Collecting Weekly or One Six Figure Focus, maybe consider clicking the subscribe button. So on to the future then. Like, I'm going to ask you a question before we get started. Now, I'd like to kind of like punctuate the start of the different sections. So you've been, streaming content, creating, basically involved in the kind of 1/6 commentary for a while now.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing you sub to different 1/6 scale content creators. What makes you click the sub button and actually come back? Because I know myself, like now that say, okay, you get your first Hot Toys figure, you've ordered it, you're so excited, you want to see what it looks like, so you click in Hot Toys anything. Justin comes off grand. From there, Justin's you get to Jeddah. From there, you go to Manhawk Collectibles or MRC Collectibles, and Collecting Weekly, 1/6 scale man, and then the algorithm picks up on this, and suddenly like there's like every single week there's like numerous other streamers that you're kind of like, okay, how do I?
Yeah.
You watch one video and then or maybe a few, and you make your decision or not. What makes you A, click the subscribe button, and B, come back to that Hot Toys content creator or 1/6 scale content creator? What makes you click and actually go, I'm going to watch that video?
Yeah, I think like most people, Justin is normally my go-to. He gets figures quick. If you just want to see, if you're on the fence about a figure, and it's just a good way of just having a quick look. It gets out of the box. You can see, and I've done that on a few times. I've gone right. Yeah, I like that. It's good enough. It's I've used that quite a lot. I like, to be honest, I would probably watch hundreds of shows, but I just don't have the time. So I've probably not subscribed to that many. Not to say that I wouldn't watch them. I mean, I watch all of the CW shows. Which we're on every day, so it kind of that kind of takes up a fair amount of time. I obviously yourself enjoy your content. I watch some of the stuff that Trevor does. I like watching Fwoosh for smaller scale stuff. I think what makes me like and subscribe is two things really: the content and the delivery. So does the content interest me? Is it something that is fun or is just useful to me in terms of being a potential buyer? And I've got to like the people. If I enjoy people's delivery or like the camaraderie that and bits and pieces. I would. You talked about a lot of shows that I've heard of or I have not heard of, and to be honest, I would happily listen to them all, but I have to be a bit selective. But there is so much good content out there, and I think the good stuff rises to the top because like we started in during the pandemic, so it was a good head start for us because people, particularly people were furloughed, they weren't working, they ran out of stuff to watch on Netflix and stuff, so they kind of turned to YouTube, and that was good. But obviously the proof of the pudding is how many of those shows that started then are still going and are still popular, and tends to be that the better ones have survived. Not talk about myself or anything, but a lot of the ones I watch are kind of quite well established, and I just love 1/6 scale figures, Hot Toys, and I'll quite happily watch somebody unboxing them all day long. But
as I think the vast majority of us would. So thanks for that. So I appreciate what you're saying there. It's kind of like the content has to be relevant or interesting or useful to you, or like the delivery, camaraderie, or the people themselves. So in terms of the future, like so Just the typical warm-up questions I ask everyone. Do you still see yourself collecting? I can probably guess the answer to these in 5 years' time.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
10 years'
definitely.
time?
Yep.
In some capacity, collecting something until your last breath. It's very dark.
Yeah, it's difficult to imagine me having
Yeah.
this collection when I'm 80, but
Mhm.
I can't see a point at which I'd suddenly go. I mean, unless I really needed the money or anything,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
didn't have the space.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'd like to think that I'd still have, most of the collection or not, but it's difficult to know. I don't think you do change mentally, and there's still the franchises and stuff that I loved as a kid, so they're not things that I'm going to get bored of in 5 years.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
This, yeah.
they've got sort of
Staying power, stickability.
yeah,
or something.
the weight of the years kind of
Yeah.
thing. So
It's like I watched Terminator 2 again in preparation for that show on Tuesday night, and I was like, man, I am never going to watch this and not enjoy this movie. Like, never.
Yeah.
It's just
yeah,
so good.
exactly.
Like,
And for me, like the original Star Wars trilogy is just the pinnacle of like cinema for me. I could watch them a million times and never get bored. Yeah, so I will always collect. It's something I've always done. It's I find it very very therapeutic. It's my kind of like escape. I do a fair bit of custom, and that's like, that's me time. And I enjoy that. It's kind of creative, because I think sometimes, like, probably different for you. You teach, so you're being creative. You're inspiring the next generation, things like that. So, but
I wish I was. So,
yeah, well,
maybe not every day.
yeah, but you know what I mean. You've kind of, it's a vocation, and
Yeah, I guess.
but I do finance, I do numbers and stuff, so it's quite boring, and it's not particularly creative. So to be able to do some painting or some modding or weathering and stuff, I just really enjoy that, and it's quite a nice calming thing for me. So I will always collect. And I do collect other little bits and pieces, but obviously not to this extent. But I think it's definitely a part of me that I would want to carry on collecting. So yeah, I think I've got a lifelong addiction.
Yeah, exactly. I love the way you're just honest. Addiction, not habit.
Yeah.
So, like, this is something. Do you have your like forever set up now, or is there something in your head that would be like, okay, if I could like start from the ground up, what exactly would be your ideal setup? Like, if, as in like some people want a bigger room, or some people want to get module case, or some people want to have like a theater room and have like their stuff around, or some people want to buy those pedestals on Sideshow. No one wants to buy those pedestals. Did you see those pedestals they were trying to flog?
No, I didn't know.
This was about 2 years ago. They're putting these statues, and they go, and you can buy these pedestals for some stupid amount of money. Like, but what do you have an idea of, like, all right, what if money was no option, kind of, or do you have something that you would aspire to get,
I
or
think,
are you happy enough?
I mean, I'm very fortunate to kind of have this room, really. It's
same,
yeah, it's a fairly large room, and there's a lot of wall space on here. I've lost some because I bought a projector, so obviously the wall over there is just blank, and I can't have anything sort of above a certain level. I would, if I could, I could probably get another full-size Billy case in here. I haven't wanted to do it because I'd have to pull everything out, but as I said to you before, if I do end up doing all that and doing the decorating, then that would be the prime time to do it. So I could, not necessarily, the problem is if I did that, then I'd have more space and I'd want to buy more figures, whereas I should just spread out the ones I've got. So no, I'm quite fortunate. Like, a bit like Ian said, I'm pretty happy with my collection, to be honest. I mean, there's always things you could tweak, but in terms of the core collection and the characters and stuff, I'm pretty pleased with it. And apart from like some of these like newer releases, like Doc Brown and bits and pieces of ones we haven't seen before, yeah, I'm pretty happy, and I was lucky enough to get into the hobby at a time when it was way more affordable. It's never been cheap. It's always been a luxury treat, but it way more affordable than it is now. And I feel a bit sorry for collectors that are just coming across this stuff, and particularly if they're trying to back
walk
stuff.
away.
Yeah.
Walk away.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's great hearing yourself and Ian kind of echoing each other like that. You're both happy. Like I definitely see a lot of collectors, and I'm not saying I'm immune to this either. There's all this like, what's next? What's coming next? What's going to be announced? Whereas, I don't know. I have stuff on pre-order and there's stuff I would like to have announced, but I am really happy with what I have at the moment, and how I have it set up. And I do come in here, and even after streams, I'll shut down the laptop and I'll turn off the ring light and I'll turn around. I will spend a few minutes kind of just looking at little details from a different angle or something like that. And
it's difficult because there's two sides to it. So I can look at my collection now and be happy that I've kind of, in terms of what's available currently, and I say I'm not including stuff that may come out of the blue somewhere and then suddenly, oh yeah, I'd love that. There's a kind of peace to it that you know, there's a tranquility that you can go, yeah, I've done the hard work, but at the same time there's always that itch. What's the next? I want to, I need another figure. I need to, there's an excitement and a thrill with like looking for that Grail figure, what have you. And I watched figures for years and years, which I finally managed to pick up when the price was right and things like that. So there is a thrill there, and it's always like, yeah, I've done that, right? Oh, well, actually. And there's always something else would pop up, and you begin that whole process again of starting to look. No, it's too much. Starting to look. I haven't got that at the moment. So at some point, I mean, a lot of these pre-orders will start dropping, so that will scratch that itch. But if there's a too much of a kind of calm period where I've not got anything coming in, I start to get a little bit like, I haven't had a new figure for a while, and that's when I might go for something that maybe I hadn't really considered, and it may be that it doesn't stay in the collection that long, because I say I've moved through whole phases of like collections which I don't have now, but I'm quite happy with that because they're not things that capture my heart kind of in the way that the stuff is now. But never say never. There's always a joke with my missus, and she's like, well, you said your collection was finished. Yeah, but I did say that if this came out or this came out, yeah, but I need that one and stuff like that. So it's never done. But
you won that one in a prize.
Yeah,
everyone
exactly.
knows that. You won that one in a prize.
Yeah. But I'm 95% there, probably. But there's always going to be. But obviously, with the way prices are and stuff, I'm quite happy if I'm only picking up 2 or 3 figures a year now. So, but yeah,
that's a great way to. That's actually ties that up nicely. So
yeah,
thanks very much. I'll just flick through these last few shots here. So, shiny question for you both. Did you both always collect something in some capacity, or did you start what you have now? I'll give you a quick whistle stop. Like a lot of kids in the 80s, saw the Batman 89, massive influence. Got the Batwing and some of those. I think they were Kenner at the time. Batman and the Joker to go with him. One of the best Christmases ever, and probably the first film I ever loved. And then I did definitely always had an interest in the likes of Transformers and Turtles when I was a kid, but wasn't really collecting because they were just toys. Did collect 3 3/4 inch Star Wars, especially around the I think when they released the Power of the Force for the special editions, episode 1, all that kind of stuff. McFarlane Matrix figures, just loved them. Then bits of random things, like I've got a beautiful, I think it's 1:72 die-cast Oshamat dropship from Aliens, which
cool.
I'll never sell. It is beautiful. I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I take it out, I watch the movie and I fly it around the house and, someone comes in the door and I pretend I'm just cleaning it,
Well, yeah.
It's cool. It's just the those bits move out and everything like that. It's a beautiful piece.
No, it's cool.
But yeah, but the thing for me was, okay, what do I do with this? Am I ever going to display all these carded figures? I wanted something that not only looked really high end, but that you could display outside of the box. And Hot Toys just nailed it. I didn't think that you could have these things that detailed. So that's the whistle stop tour. So in short, yeah, I was collecting. I've always been a collector, but now I'm a bit more focused. Pun intended, actually, that time, collector. Pete?
Yeah, it's similar. I mean, obviously, I grew up in a child of the 80s, so I had all the I had a lot of 3 3/4 Star Wars stuff, the original releases. I remember going into the local toy shop and, you know, they just had racks and racks of them and everything. But it was more, I was playing with them. I was opening them, I was playing with them. So it wasn't really, I did want more and more figures and stuff, but it wasn't a collection as such. It was, you know, stuff I played with. And as I say, I got into, kind of back into collecting in my 20s when like with a lot of the Star Wars Lego and so the McFarlane bits and pieces. So I was always collecting something, or you know, I used to buy a lot of trainers and stuff, you know. So there was always something that was a kind of a, oh, I want another pair of those or whatever, or it might be watches. I used to buy watches and stuff. So there was always things, but obviously I've come back to, you know, in the last 11, 12 years into the 1/6, and that has really been like where my passion's been. So yeah, it's always been there, but now as you say, it's found its real home, I think. And the focus is all there. So
excellent stuff. So obviously, thanks very much to Pete for agreeing to do this. We went on a bit further longer than I'd intended, but that's just a sign that I was enjoying the conversation.
Yeah, it's been brilliant.
Be sure to follow Collecting Weekly on YouTube and check out at Collecting Weekly on Instagram, and obviously OFAC is the English kind of I suppose leg of the Collecting Weekly network, and that's 8:30 every second Thursday, I believe.
Correct. So we're on next week. Yeah, it's our next show.
Yeah. Excellent stuff. And if you haven't done so already, if you want to follow at 16 Figure Folks on Instagram and 16 Figure Folks on YouTube, greatly appreciated. Thanks very much to Boba Fettuccini for the super chat there. And folks, I just finished on this. So tomorrow night I'm doing a late one, 11 p.m. my time, and we'll just see how we get on there. So basically give any of the subscribers, followers a chance to take control of the stream. I had, if you want to maybe do, I'd really appreciate if you could go on to my story, and there's a question there. It's just this thumbnail is up there, and you can just click in a suggested topic or maybe a figure you want to have a chat about, or even just a question, and I'll do my best to answer them. It's
you
also
want to just sorry, mate. So do you want to just squeeze in the fire figures? I know we've gone on a bit longer than...
Oh, sorry, I completely forgot.
That's
about
all right.
It. Sorry,
no.
I completely, no, thanks for reminding me. So that's tomorrow 11 p.m. and you can go onto the story and maybe put in a suggestion, a question, or go to the community tab of my YouTube and just there's a post I put up there. It's like the last post, and maybe suggest. So I actually completely forgot about my favorite question, the origin of this question. During lockdown, I was watching 6-Scale Scavengers, and it was the first comment I ever wrote that they put up on screen and read out, and it was basically this question: if your house was on fire and you could only come up with three, you could only keep three, save three 6-Scale figures, what would they be?
Here we go. I've got them on. If you can just bring there you go. Okay, yeah. So obviously an indie, very much like Ian's. It's the Iris outfit with that's actually an MJ Choi head, and that whip is a very special whip. That's a Joe Strain whip. So he makes real full size whips. He made some for Crystal Skull. So that is a 6-scale real braided whip.
Right.
Very
So the
expensive,
guy
but
made
beautiful.
the prop for the film, or
Some of them, yep, for the film,
Wow.
yeah, Crystal
And he
Skull.
made a
Yeah,
6-scale version.
yeah, he's out in the US. I got a quarter scale one for the premium format indie as well. So
That is amazing.
he's got this India's got all the best bits. So that's my, you know, if you like, my Grail indie. So he's the first grab. He's a definite. Second, I've gone with Hicks, which is my custom Hicks. So it's all the Hot Toys stuff, but on a Feist and seamless body with a custom head sculpt, and all the weathering was done by David Upton, I mentioned earlier. Done a fantastic job. Like, it looks like real metal, you know, with all burnished edges.
He's
and
been through the ringer.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic, and he's done like the proper, you know, he's done the way the dagger hangs and everything. It's really good. Even the light works. You put a little lamp in the LED in the lamp and everything. So absolutely fantastic job, and love that figure. So that's a second grab. Third one is a difficult one because I felt like I had to have a Star Wars figure. It's really, this is the Andre saying, grabbing the Falcon cockpit and just stuffing it full of figures. I was going to say that, but I thought I was cheating a bit. I'd have to have one figure to represent Star Wars, and this is the most recent Star Wars figure I got. You've got him as well. It's a fantastic figure, love it. So I just kind of went with that because I've got so many Star Wars that I couldn't really pick, but this guy's just behind me, and I thought, do you know what? If I had to have just one figure to represent Star Wars, why not? It's a great orange
so
suit.
Good.
It's so good.
It's like original trilogy, like the pop of the orange, the weathering, the helmet is just class.
Yeah. So I just went with him. Yeah. So that's my three.
No, that's A1. That is A1. Apologies for that. It's actually my favorite question. I completely forgot that.
It's all right. Yeah.
To ask it. So thanks very much again, and thanks to everyone in the stream for joining us and engaging. So really happy, and sure we'll see you tomorrow. And if you can, go on and maybe put a few suggestions into the community tab on the YouTube or on the Instagram page. Would be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much, folks.
And thanks everyone. Thanks for having me, Shane.
Yeah, no problem at all. Bye, folks.
Cheers.